But here's the problem. The problem is so many people in this sick, psychopathic society want to insist that there can be such a thing as a moral order follower. So many people want to make justifications for order followers' criminal behavior. And as we've talked about on this show before, people have to understand where words come from. The word justification comes from two Latin root words. The word jus, J-U-S in Latin. But J-U-S, that's the root of the word justice, because J-U-S or I-U-S in ancient Latin meant law or right, meaning morality, to fall within the parameters of rightness, within the law. And then the second part of the word, justification, comes from the Latin noun, facere. Facere means to make or to create. So we put them together, jus and facere, to make or to create right, to make up what is right, to create a new right, to make up the difference between right and wrong for ourselves. We can make it up. We can create rights where a right did not exist because it was actually an immoral behavior that created harm. But we can call it a right. Oh, don't you know, police have rights that other individuals don't have. They're allowed to do things to people that other people would be jailed for, that other people would be seen as a criminal or a murderer for, but somehow they possess rights that other people don't have. You know, this is what justification is. Creating a right that does not exist. And this is the problem, is that too many people in our society want to make excuses for these psychopathic criminals. They want to let them off the hook because you're in uniform. You're just doing your job. You're just following orders. Well, guess what? That's not a justification. And just following orders or just doing my job, or however way that a member of one of these cults, because that's what they are, cult members, wants to word this, okay? Just following orders, just doing my job, none of these are ever valid excuses or justifications for immoral, criminal, psychopathic behavior, and should never be accepted as such. Being. Period. I want to talk a little bit more about the techniques of cults that are used on the zombified, brainwashed population of cult members out there in the police and military. You know, I want to talk a little bit more about the people who support these people, if you even want to call them people, the justifications that they make for their behaviors, or what I would call the fundamentally false axioms that they believe in. Like, they're not all bad. They're not all bad. All order followers are bad, folks. The dynamic of order following is bad. That's what makes somebody a bad person. They're willing to follow somebody else's orders. By definition, that's bad. That's immoral. This is what people can't understand because they can't logically process knowledge. They can't think. You can't make the conscious realization that if you are taking an action without actually weighing whether it is a right or wrong behavior first, and you're just following an order from someone else, you don't understand that's what makes somebody a bad person. You have no idea what spirituality is. At all. At all. How about this fundamentally false axiom? It's not them that are actually bad or evil, it's just their behaviors or their actions that are bad or evil. That's like saying, oh, Nazis weren't bad people, just what they did was bad. No, that doesn't make them a bad person. Oh, really? You can't be defined by your behavior. Well, what better way of defining whether a person is a good or bad being than their behavior? Huh? You want to come up with some different, better criteria for that? I mean, just think about how illogical this is. It's insanity. It's brainwashing. It's mind control to spit out this garbage. totally flawed axioms that people don't even think because it's just rote coming out of their mouth like verbal diarrhea. But this is what people have been divided, and ruled as a result of not understanding. You have certain people, the order followers, on one side of the dynamic, on one side of the dialectic. They want to abdicate that responsibility to discern and judge for themselves. And then you have the people on the other side of the dialectic, the supporters of order followers, the supporters of authority, and believers that somehow order following is some sort of a virtue. They want to abdicate that personal responsibility to defend themselves and their rights. And I would make the claim that deep down inside, this comes from deep-seated psychological parental abandonment issues being experienced by people on both sides of that dynamic. Clearly, the order followers are seeking approval that was lacking in their parental, quote, upbringing. And I wrap it in quotes because they weren't raised, they weren't brought up, they're still morally dead. And all the people on the other side of the equation are acting as little children who want to be protected, who want to be, have the strong father figure, big daddy government, take care of them, keep them safe, when it isn't anybody else's responsibility but themselves to keep themselves safe. People don't like to be told that they're on their own. And when they screw up a situation, they created it and they're going to have to deal with it. No one is coming to rescue us, folks. There are no white hats out there. You are the person who is going to have to do something. Nobody's stepping in and going to pick us up by our bootstraps and be responsible for us. It is not going to happen that way. Get over it.